Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Ain't Nobody Squeaky Clean. I'm your host, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to me for a few minutes. It really means a lot to me, and I appreciate all of your support. This past week was interesting here in the DMV. For those of you that don't know what the DMV is, the DMV is DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and there is a debate on whether or not you are in the DMV on the Virginia side because there is a cutoff. It's not the whole state of Virginia, it's just a portion of it. Northern Virginia is typically what we refer to it as, but there's always a debate as to where that cutoff is. So if you think you're in the DMV, you probably are, and we're happy to have you. But here in the DMV, we had a incredible snowstorm this past weekend. Everybody in the area got somewhere between, I think, 6 to 9 inches of snow and ice. And almost a week out, I'm here to tell you that all 6 to 9 inches of that snow and ice is still sitting right on outside. It has been crazy, and I have claimed that I now live in Antarctica, Virginia. And I actually just made a TikTok about that this morning. But it's wild out there. So for those of you that need to go outside, make sure that you wrap up thoroughly. Don't have any of your body exposed because that hawk is out there and it is very, very cold. But I'm, for one, here to claim that this weather is not for me. This brother is not built to be out here in 8, 9 degrees every single day. And I'm starting to put pennies aside as I find them so that I can figure out how I can get to a warmer climate. So pray for your brother because I got to get out of this mess. Second thing I wanted to talk about is some things that went on in the news this week. So surprising to me, and maybe I just haven't been following closely enough because I really stopped watching the news when it got so negative. But one day what popped up on my screen was Nicki Minaj. So Nicki Minaj was a pop, hip hop, rap. She was a superstar, I guess, for about a 5 year period. And she had a lot of hits. She was very popular, as I mentioned, amongst a certain subset. So she decided this week to come out and speak with President Donald Trump. She came on and she went as far as to say, you know what, Mr. Trump, I think I might be your biggest fan. And then she ended up getting the Trump Gold Card, and she ends up going to the premiere of Melania's movie. And it just begged the question, what's the ulterior motive here? And again, I'm not on here to say that, to talk politics or point out what's right or what's wrong, because again, ain't nobody squeaky clean. But the point is, there's got to be a reason to this, right? Every single action has some type of reasoning behind it. So I'm just trying to understand what's going on here for both sides. Stay tuned because I'm sure this is going to play out a certain way. Lastly, I wanted to talk about something else that has always been on my mind. So I've noticed that there's a disconnect between the children of today and the parents of today. The parents of today grew up in a whole different fashion than what these kids are growing up in now. And I think a lot of that has to do with evolution, right? We've evolved, we've adopted different tactics, and now that plays out in how these kids respond. And even more so, I think a lot of the challenges that are facing these kids today is that the families aren't as close as they used to be. When we were growing up, we were always around our cousins. We were around family. everybody seemed to be a lot more connected. And I think that kind of hardened you a little bit because, your cousins are going to tell you straight up what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. They're going to talk about you. You're going to talk about them. It just helped build you into a stronger person, I think, because you dealt with some challenges, right? And again, most people will say it came from a place of love, but there was a lot of toxicity in that as well. So we removed a lot of the toxicity, but we also removed a lot of the family element. So I think it's sad that a lot of these kids nowadays, they haven't had that opportunity to hang out with family. They haven't had that opportunity to hang out with people that truly love them and are going to give them the real. They're hanging out with a lot of fake people. So when you have fake people in your life, you're going to get fake responses. People are going to lift you up for the betterment of themselves, but not really mean it. This is why I see a lot of kids when they, graduate high school or start to move up the ladder, a lot of the friends the quote unquote friends that they grew up with, they're no longer connected with because those bonds weren't strong. Those bonds were out of a connection that was built from proximity. It wasn't built from love. It wasn't built from caring. It wasn't built from someone who actually was vested in you. It was just a situation that we grew up in the same zip code, and that's all it was. So I feel really sorry for them, and I think it's our duty to try to instill those values in them so that they know they have a foundation to stand on. Anyway, just an observation. So I'm going to leave it there. And I want to thank you for listening. And I really appreciate all of the compliments that I've received and the feedback that I've received from people who have really been following my journey and my struggles and my victories and really want to see this platform do well. So anytime you want to be involved, anytime you want to have a discussion, let me know. Because I'd really like to talk to you because this is only going to be as good as the talent that we can put on it and the topics that we can discuss. So if you have topics that you want me to touch on, send that to me. Reach out. You guys know how to reach me. And I look forward to your responses. Thank you for listening. This is Ain't Nobody Squeaky Clean. Take care.